Bem-vindo.
Bienvenue.
Karibu.
Marhaba.
Welcome to Thriving Africa podcast, where we're all about trade and economy on the African continent.
We'll be discussing and analyzing intra-African trade, highlighting key projects, providing concrete tips, and experience sharing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this new episode of Thriving Africa podcast. Today, we are in Algiers at the Algeria Invest Conference, and together with me, as you know, there is Winket Mutini, my co-host, and Ahmed Tibaoui, the General Manager and CEO of the World Trade Centre.
Algiers.
Algiers, yes. How are you today?
Could be better.
Yeah, so maybe I think the best way to start it off is to first of all explain what is the World Trade Center so that our audience can get to understand the context.
Thank you. Then the World Trade Center is a license delivered by WTC New York, delivered for a city, not for the country. I think except Cyprus and Qatar, small countries. And there is only one license in Algeria, is Algiers. Then it's not a franchise, it's a brand name. It's very important with the logo, very well known. Then each country or each World Trade Center can deliver the services regarding the needs of the country. That's why it's not a franchise, it's only a brand name. Then in Algeria we have developed three activities. The first one is a business center. We have 4 premises for foreign or local companies. But behind this we have many services to deliver, as setting up companies, many services behind the office. We don't rent only the office, but we rent the office with different services, rendezvous with different administration, many services, translation, everything. The second activity is events. We develop many events like exhibitions, seminars, conference, trade missions, inbound, outbound exhibitions. And the third one, I think we are among the only World Trade Center in the world. There is 323 World Trade Centers in the world in 19 countries. And the third activity is consultancy. Then we take care of the investors from A to Z. If they want, also there is a sort of menu if they need a business plan, if they need to help them with to negotiate the loan with the bank or to get a land. Then many services are offering inside this activity, which is the consultancy. It's today we have many products in tourism, in industry, in services. Then I think we are among the only World Trade Center in the world which offer this kind of service.
Amazing. Well,
then you adapt your activity to the needs of the country.
To the country itself.
I wanted to ask you because today we were talking about Algeria investment opportunities,
yes,
right? And Algeria is, and I would always remind it, even if I'm a proud Algerian, it's the biggest country in Africa. There's a lot of opportunity.
Yes.
And because we're in Africa, we know all about the AfCFTA, so the Free Continental Trade Area. What opportunities, because of your experience and as you said, all the events that you do, what do you see as opportunities for Algeria within Africa and for African as well in Algeria? How can Algerian and Africans in general take really full opportunities of the AfCFTA and potentially what could attract them to Algeria?
I think your question is very important. Why? Because Algeria is, I think, the door of Africa. It's just front to Europe, next to Middle East and Africa. And unfortunately, many years, I think, for many reasons, I think, we gave our back to Africa. Because it's a shame, because many Africans studied in Algeria. I was in Polytechnic. I have 6 from Guinea, was studying with me, engineer. Then so many there is association in many countries of Africa, association of students. They studied in Algeria. Then that's why there is a link and political links, because we have a very good relation from I think before our independence and after independence, because you know that Algeria was the Mecca of the revolution, different revolution. I remember when I was student, Dos Santos, the others, I saw them. They are walking in Rue des Douches Morades and in Algeria, I remember.
I'm jealous of that.
Really, I had the chance to be there. Then that's why I think today we should improve our relation with Africa, and we have this opportunity of this free trade agreement. And I told you this morning when I moderate the first panel, we have today many opportunities of investment in Algeria. From Europe, from Turkey, from Middle East, and if they produce in Algeria and with this free trade agreement, Africa can benefit from this investment, because you can export there with zero duties, and there is many opportunities for this. That's why I'm really convinced that the future of our country is to work more strongly with Africa. And for me, as a CEO of the World Trade Centre Algiers, I'm very happy that now many licenses are arriving to Africa. We have Antananarivo, we have Abuja, we have Abidjan, maybe next Douala and Dakar. We have Cairo, is I think the oldest one. Then there is many opportunities, and my shareholders have bought also Casablanca, Tunis, and Benghazi, plus Algiers. Then I'm really convinced that there is many opportunities and to exchange. I think maybe start by trade and after investment. And today with Nigeria, there is this link between Lagos and Algiers, this highway, the second highway of fiber optic, the optic fiber. Then the link also of the gas, also between the pipeline between Lagos and Algiers, and export to Europe, Middle East, or different countries. Then many opportunities are here on the floor, and we should take this opportunity.
For sure. So maybe I would like to pick up on what you said, like the licenses are targeted at the specific city. So if someone is watching from anywhere in Africa that wants now to get the services with WTC here in Algiers, what would you be telling them? Like, what are the key industries they would be looking into?
I think for the licenses, I was, for instance, for Abidjan, I received my colleagues here because the license was, for instance, for Abidjan was bought by the entrepreneur organization. And we told them that we can help them. I told them for free. They can send their responsible here in WTC Algiers to learn our experience, and after they can choose the best way for them. For us, we have developed three activities, like I told you, business center, the second one event, and the third one is consultancy. But maybe for Abidjan it was another choice.
Okay.
Then we are here for like a grandfather. We can help any new license. We can support them and help them. And now, inside the organization of the World Trade Center Association, New York, we should prepare a part to have a sort of team, of Africa team.
Yeah.
And to have other meetings between us, and how we exchange, how we can increase trade between us, because today it's very weak. When we check the statistics, it's very weak. 3%, I think. And we should increase, and there is opportunities between Algeria and Africa, and Algeria is part of Africa.
Yes.
Really, I feel African, really, really.
I think that's the spirit that we're all supposed to be carrying on as we talk about intra-Africa trade, that we are part of the same continent and opportunities.
That's why we should take all the opportunities to try, our generation, to try to develop and to increase everything with Africa.
Perfect. I have one last question, and thank you so much, is that, well, you did mention the history that Algeria had in Africa, the diplomatic also, and the history, and then we go to commercialization. Like Wicked was saying, we have Africans, and even outside of Africa, watching this podcast, and some of them authorities. What would be the two advice you might tell to somebody to come to Algeria, but also to come to Africa? What would be the two key messages you want to tell them? It could be
for African or?
For African and outside of African, but because we're talking about AfCFTA, it can be just for Africa.
I think we can, the first advice is to come to Algeria.
Okay.
Because in our culture, when we want to work with somebody, the personal relation is very important.
100%.
Then I advise them to come to Algeria. It's a very beautiful country. It's a country which welcomes African because of the history. We have a big and clean, can I say clean history. And for the others, maybe for the European, or also to come to Algeria, and you can go together to Africa.
I love that. Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr.
No
Tibaoui,
problem.
for your time.
It was a pleasure.
And as you see, she came to Algeria.
I came to Algeria,
You are here.
and I can speak to that hospitality.
It's the first time.
It's my first time here, actually. And all this is because of networks that we had in Botswana, and then they said, okay, they did a presentation on Algeria. I was curious, and they realized we really don't know much about each other. And the only way, as you've said, we can know about each other is to travel to those countries and have the experience.
Okay, welcome.
So thank you very much, and
No
it was
problem.
a pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you, merci.